Alrighty, guys, I'm Morthadon, and we are back for My Hero Academia Season 4, Episode 13. So, guys, the real quick, before we jump into this episode, just spaced out for a second there, um, there is a new poll up to replace Fairy Tail. It's another show I'm doing reactions for, and it's ending soon. Everybody can vote. It's free. All you gotta do is go to the link below. If you do not have a Patreon account, you have to make one, but making one is free as well. And once you do, you're able to vote in my poll and help me pick the next show that goes up on my channel to replace the slot where Fairy Tail is, which is on Mondays. Yeah, there's 10 options there. There's a lot of them. We got for the size of our channel, a decent amount of votes. I'm happy with already, and yeah, guys. So please vote. I very much appreciate it if you do. And then also, apologies for last week with the insane brightness on the video. I was just glowing white. It's a bit better this time for sure. It was a problem with for some reason my webcam defaulted some settings and it went back to auto choosing the light options, which it doesn't do a very good job at, so I had to manually do them all, and I've adjusted it to be, this way, which is pretty close, I feel, to what it really looks like. maybe a little bit brighter, maybe I'm a little more pale. Anyways, regardless, sorry about that last week. Okay, so this week we had, I guess, well, technically last week on My Hero Academia, we had the continuation of the fight with Midoriya joining the fray. We had Night Eye getting hurt. We had Mirio, stumbling to get out of there, trying to protect Eri on his way out. And Eri ended up returning because of the baiting calls of Overhaul, who had combined his powers with that of two of his lackeys and was able to control their quirks even. So crazy battle going on, and right at the end we had Tsuyu, Uraraka, and Ryukyu, I believe her name was, the Dragoon hero, coming down from the ceiling, crashing down also with one of the villains as well. So, one more villain into the fight, but also 3 more heroes, maybe more trailing behind, who knows. But this fight just got very complicated because, it's one of the ones where Midoriya isn't just going to win by himself. He's going to need help, I assume, and I look forward to seeing how things play out. So without further ado, let's jump into this episode. Alrighty, guys, so like usual, down in the description there's going to be a Vimeo link. You guys can click that. It'll bring you directly to the reaction. One click away, very easy. And then you can come back here to the YouTube video for the discussion afterwards, alright, guys? So go ahead and click that link right now. Alrighty, guys, so that is the end of episode 13. Holy crapola. Oh my god. Wow. So, that happened. I guess we don't even know if the fight's really over either. Like, it looked like he was donezo, right? But he does have the power to, like, heal himself, so if he regains, like, the slightest bit of consciousness, he can just put himself back together the way he was before, right? And just be fine again. But we are now we are officially in a world where something happened that Night Eye didn't see. Which is crazy considering he's tried to change the future many times before and was never able to, so like, and he said it like almost auto-corrects itself. So I wonder if it takes like an exorbitant amount of like willpower or something to change the future. I don't know what it takes to change the future like that, but oh man. Okay, going back towards like the beginning of the episode though, I was very confused. See, okay, this was my thought process at the beginning of the episode, right? Because we were told like it was like a few moments before, like what did it exactly say? I want to see because I was like so confused at that little bit right when we started the episode. Presence of Shie Hisaikai immediately after the start of the raid, which is what I thought. Okay. Yeah, okay. So they caught him immediately after the start of the raid. They caught the looks like the name's right here, Rikia. I don't know how you say it, Rikia. I don't know how you. Yeah, okay. Either way, they caught him, and then he started draining the life energy because of the quirk boosting stuff kicked in, and he broke free, and then they had to fight him, and a Midoriya showed up, and Midoriya ran inside. So I was very confused. That's because I was like, oh wait, did I read the beginning wrong? Because, every now and then it happens where I read something wrong. And I'm like, was this like way before Midoriya even ran in or something? But no. And then like my next thought with like, this all happened within like a split second in my head, and I was like, oh wait, maybe it's, um it could be Twice or what's her name? Toga. And then, I was like, well no, I probably just read something wrong, I guess. I don't know. Um and I never really said any of that out loud, except for like the I might have read it wrong part. But everything else I just like internalized so quickly in my head in the moment. I was so confused. Um so this happened immediately after the raid. They got captured, and then they fought, and then um so I guess in between the time of them capturing this guy, tying him up, and then him breaking out and everything, in that time is the time it took everything else inside to happen, because then they fought this guy for a tiny bit and then broke through the floor, but Twice and them were already outside in order to impersonate Midoriya. Toga did it, but they were all outside to do that, which would have been after they did all their stuff with Twice going up against Night Eye and Toga going up against Rock Lock and all that happening. They came to the surface, and then that guy broke out, and then they disguised themselves as Midoriya, yelled out whatever it was they said. Now I can't even remember. Telling him, I think, told them the location to break through, didn't they? What did they say? Did Midoriya show up after the opening? Was it? Shoot. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Yeah, there we go. What did he say? I came to call for backup. Our objective is directly beneath that intersection. Oh, okay. The pro heroes. Wow, so she essentially helped them again in a way. Interesting. Toga's motivations and stuff. She didn't have to do that at all. That's very, very interesting. Okay, I'm glad I went back and read that. Because I kind of thought she directed them, but I mean, I guess Toga. I don't think Toga did it for Izuku as much as she did it to make sure that Overhaul got taken down, right? Because that's what she said last episode. Was that she wants to see a bloodied Izuku again, but she primarily wants to see Overhaul, be taken down. That's what it seemed like. She like was her primary focus and stuff. So, I believe that was her main motivation, was to just get more heroes there and stuff like that. But interesting. All right. Um, but then the whole part with Eri was so beautiful. Like, there's something so powerful when a show cuts out all sound except for just some like very like angelic sort of music playing. It's always something that gives me chills and like makes me pay attention so much more. And that's what they did here. They cut out everything except for Izuku and Eri talking, but they took out all like the combat noises, all of that, and they just gave us this very like pure and and beautiful like internal monologue between Eri and Midoriya, who Midoriya all he wants to do is save her. You know, he doesn't want to let her go again. And then Eri, who realizes that if she keeps running, then these heroes aren't going to give up. If she goes back with Overhaul, she's just gonna make it harder on them because they're not just going to give up. So she decides, and with those emotions triggered, she uses her quirk, which she doesn't really have any control over, and she managed to separate Overhaul from his other two people, put him back to normal, essentially, and then ran off to Midoriya, and then that whole like awesome scene just ensued, and I loved it so much. I want to go rewatch it again. I want to watch reactions. I want to see it all again. Which I'm definitely gonna do. But man, uh, but her quirk, it turns out, is able to rewind, which is insane. Like I guess something that she's touching or something that she's near. She's able to put them back to I guess like I wonder like how much control she could have like if she learned how to control this quirk, because Overhaul uses it to remove a quirk, but you don't manifest the quirk until you're young. So is she able to rewind someone's like genes, like the genes that make you have a quirk? Is she able to rewind those back to before you develop them, in a sense, to the point where they disappear? Or is she able to, because like Overhaul figured out a way to do it without making you younger, right? Because obviously, if she just did a full rewind, you'd get younger to the point of like before you developed your quirk or whatnot, and then you'd eventually vanish because she can't control it. And she rewinds you back to before you existed, essentially, which is crazy. Um, but yeah, so Overhaul was able to develop a drug that just did the quirk. But would Eri be able to do that? If Eri got more control and everything, could she just like remove people's quirks, which is insane because then like she could even just get a job in that Tartaros prison, right? And it might be unethical and it'd probably be against the law even to do on villains, right? But she could, if this world wanted to, the biggest and baddest villains, like All for One, just go up and remove his quirk, and every quirk he's collected and stuff like that. Or any other villain, right? Just remove their quirks if she got that much control. And that way the maximum security prisoners are now just prisoners. Stick them in a jail cell, they're done. Uh, that would be crazy. But like just with her power now, that's ridiculously OP if she learns how to control it, right? Like the way she used it with Midoriya, she was just kind of letting loose, but it allowed Midoriya to go full like it let him go All Might power and more, right? Because his power gets stronger as it's passed on. So now his power is even stronger than All Might's, and he's able to go, fully wielding that. And regardless of how much he breaks his body, she's just instantly rewinding it, which I imagine that has to hurt Midoriya, right? Like, I mean, unless it's like before the pain unless it's rewound before the pain even travels through his nerves, or something like that. Um, I imagine Midoriya still has the pain of breaking his bones and then them being healed with every like punch Midoriya through. I could be wrong, but that I mean, like I said, it could be before the pain even travels through the nerves and everything like that. She's rewinding it, but oh man, that whole fight scene was just crazy with that big ass creature that Overhaul made using the corpse of that big dude that absorbs life essence. Rikia or whatever his name was. I don't know how to pronounce it. But he made that big like fleshy like with ribs coming out and everything like the rib cage and uh But Midoriya, like, I don't know what, that was some One Punch Man level shit, right? Where Midoriya just like, it just like filled the sky with Midoriya's punches. I don't know what the hell that was. I think that was just like, I mean, obviously that had to be a visual like thing for us. I imagine that's not literally what happened, right? I don't think like Midoriya manifested like giant energy fists. I don't think that happened. But I think it might have just been like a visual representation of his power for us, the viewers. I'm not sure. I don't really know exactly how to interpret what we saw. I don't know if I entirely love, like, okay, so I loved what I saw, and I love like the insanity of it all, and like the over the top and everything, and stuff like that. But I will say it kind of sets us up like, is this the kind of stuff that Midoriya is gonna do in, his way future when he's the number one hero? Like, obviously, once his body can control it, maybe he isn't gonna be like glowing and lightning flashing everywhere and stuff like that, like as much as he is now, and like his skin was turning like red because of like, it was almost like the combination of that veiny effect that goes on him and everything. It almost like it spread everywhere for the most part, and like kind of like faded a little bit with his skin tone and everything, and just made him look red and stuff like that. I imagine that's not how he's gonna look like every time in the future when he's older, when he's, potentially like big and jacked and looking like All Might and stuff like that, maybe. I don't know. But it kind of sets it up a little bit, which I like it, and it's a little weird with like the way they showed like those big punches. Like, I kind of want to go look at that scene again. Where was it? It was past this, past that. And also that one shot where Midoriya was shadowed, he almost looked evil. I like how friggin' Toga was just like, holy crap. We had a lot on Overhaul that I want to talk about too. As I'm skipping through, sorry, I'm just trying to find this one scene. Oh my god, some of these shots. Oh my god, that is a shot. Hold on, I gotta screenshot this. Sorry, guys. 1 second. Oh my god, I can find this later, but I want to do this right now. Okay, sorry. Holy crap. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it was a tiny bit before. Oh, I just went back way too far. Shit. Midoriya's like, yeah, this super punch thing that Midoriya does with like the sky full of them. I also don't know, maybe that's supposed to be like Overhaul's perspective of what happened, but I kind of wish we got to see a little better what just happened there. And then like all the parts just flinging off and shit. Oh my god. That's just so crazy. Like, I can't imagine how much work, but I mean, so I will say this. As much as I really wanted to see more like animation of what really happened there instead of what we saw, at the same time, I can't imagine how much these last like 3 or 4 episodes costed in like animation budget and how big the team had to be to do this, because I feel like there was so much going on in a lot of the scenes that it couldn't have been easy, like I don't want to like put down other shows to raise this one and stuff like that, but it kind of like I'll say it just because I don't want to put down Boruto, but I'm also watching Boruto, and they like, hinder previous episodes coming up to like a big fight because like they lower the animation quality a little bit and stuff like that to raise it up, so when the big episodes happen, they're insane and really good. And but My Hero, I feel like, always sustains like good quality episodes, and then when real good shit happens, it's just over the top, right? And like, I don't know how they do it. So I will say that like, in that sense, I'm very okay with not seeing as much here for the last 3 episodes to be really good. I guess is my point that I'm going with, I suppose. But oh man, but to talk about Overhaul a little bit, so he was taken in by the boss. We know all that, and he had his own ideas, which the boss didn't agree with. He wanted to, uh, Overhaul had all these ambitions and stuff because he wanted to make the Shiei Hisaikai like this big and powerful organization. But the boss had all these ideals that he wanted to stick with, and everything. These kind of like his own code of conduct and stuff. Like even though the boss guys seemed like they weren't like the best group of people, he seemed like he still had a code. And but Overhaul just didn't, and that was like a big conflict for them. And then Overhaul got put in charge of looking after Eri and figuring out what her quirk is, because he was just good at that kind of stuff. Nature of Overhaul's quirk with his disassemble and reassemble, he has to understand like the structure of stuff and everything, I'm sure, almost like an alchemist from FMAB. um and he was able to identify what Eri's quirk was and find a way to utilize it in a way that's actually genius for evil organizations and their plans for the future in the world and what they want to do and their ambitions. I love this one so much more than a lot of shows do, right? A lot of them's like, we're just gonna take over the world, and like, what are you gonna do then? Like, what is it gonna be like? Oh, I don't know. But this one's like so well thought out. Like they make like a little temporary version of the quirk removal. They get it out there. They get people like scared of it and the villains interested in it and stuff like that. And then they make a version of it that is permanent, in that tears starts tearing the heroes down, because all the villains have these bullets that can remove quirks. It's insane, it's chaotic. Heroes are losing their powers left and right. Villains are starting to win the war. And then they release a serum for it, which brings the quirks back, and then the heroes buy it, and then they're like making a comeback. And he basically rebalances the world. He basically puts the world into chaos and then rebalances it himself, and then just makes profit off it the whole time. And it's all dependent on this one group of people to like keep this world in balance and stuff like that, which is like an insane idea, but it's so genius and I love it. And oh man, like, jeez, it's so well thought out. I absolutely love the writing that has been put into this arc and these characters and everything. Um, I almost, I'll be completely honest, as epic of the fight was of All for One and the connection that it had to do with All Might was fantastic. All for One's ambitions are still a little unclear, and that might be because they have more plans for him in the future. Like, there's no way All for One is gone for good, you know? But I've been liking this arc more story and writing wise more than I think I did the All for One stuff. Although the All for One fight between All Might, I think, is still one of my favorite fights of all time, even probably trumping what we've seen so far in this season. But like I said, story wise, I just love the motivations of the heroes and the villains so much more in this than what it was before. So it's so good. I'm loving it so much. I mean, I've loved this show ever since the beginning. I still go back and watch, season 1 through 3 over again every now and then, or like I'll rewatch older reactions of like other people reacting to the show and stuff like that, and I love it so much. But man, so good. But yeah, the boss just didn't want any of this to happen, and so he was getting very close to kicking Overhaul out, and then Overhaul's the one that put him into a coma. Um, I guess to talk about Eri a little bit in her past, so my theory on Eri was that Eri, when Overhaul called her a cursed human that the people around her die. I thought at first when we thought that it was his daughter, I thought the mom died during childbirth, right? And he blamed the daughter because we've seen that before. That was my theory. It was wrong. For one, it's not even Overhaul's kid. Um, and even the whoever, or I guess the granddaughter of the boss. I'm trying to think about how to word this. The granddaughter of the boss. So the bosses. I don't know if I don't know if it was the boss's daughter that had Eri, or if it was the boss's son who married someone and had Eri. I don't know how that whole family connection goes, but either way, Eri's parents. The reason why she's considered a cursed human and stuff like that, and why the mom gave up on her, it gave her up and stuff like that, seemed to be because she just accidentally used her quirk and erased her dad, which that really sucks. Uh, I wonder if there's going to be more info later on. I wonder if the dad did something to deserve being erased, or if it was just like if he was abusive and she used her quirk reflexively to protect herself or something like that, But I imagine the mom wouldn't be that upset if the dad was abusive or something, so I don't know if they're going to go into anything like that. But also, her quirk is something that they called it a mutation. It's a quirk that was not inherited by the parents, which we always knew was a possibility, right? We always knew that you'll develop a quirk, and sometimes it's one from your mother or one from your father or a combination of the two. We've always heard that in the show, but we haven't had many examples of people whose quirks were not inherited by their parents, and I don't know if we knew how rare it was, right? I can't remember them ever saying that it's extremely rare for someone to develop a quirk that isn't passed down to them, right? That's something completely different. And now we know that it's apparently very rare to the point where they consider it a mutation, even in this world of quirks where so many you'd think you'd consider a mutation, but it's very interesting and apparently very rare, and it's cool that we're getting to that side of MHA with that kind of info being revealed and stuff like that. But oh man, guys, that was some good shit on that episode. I think I've said just about all I can say, and honestly, I don't want the discussion to go on too long. I feel like I'm just going to be repeating myself if I go on too much longer as well. I've already repeated some of the points I've made, but oh, such a good episode. I can't wait to watch it again while I'm editing, even though I, start and pause and cut and stuff like that a lot, I still, look forward to watching through it again, and then some of the reactions coming out over the next couple days I'm very much excited for. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, hit that subscribe button. And also, you can go down into the description where there's a link to my Patreon as well, or you can go just straight to patreon.com/Morthadon, and you can support me there as well if you want access to full length for My Hero Academia episodes. And then my other shows, you get full length and early access, depending on the tier that you go for. Obviously, I'll watch this as it releases, so I can't do early access for that, but yeah, guys, check that out if you wish to support me. I very much appreciate it if you do. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Also, don't forget to vote in the poll. All right, bye bye.